Daniel Negreanu is looking down at 6-5 offsuit, but he's up against his nemesis of 20 years, Phil Ivey, who's holding King Jack suited. Ivey raises to 75,000. Most players would probably fold in Daniel's spot.
No choice, can't fold it. Gotta see a flop in the big blind.
There's the call. So it's Daniel versus Phil.
Ivey is 64% favorite for now, but the flop comes 8-6-6 and Negreanu hits trips.
Eight of hearts.
I don't see Phil falling for this.
Phil checks too. I don't know how, but he can somehow feel Daniel is strong here.
A king on the turn.
Now I see him falling for it a little.
Negreanu wants Phil second-guessing every assumption. Wants him trapped between is he bluffing and is he setting me up? What looks like hesitation is actually misdirection. This is less about cards, more about control.
Daniel leads. Phil now with top pair.
Even if you think Daniel has a 6, you can't just go folding top pair.
Negreanu's sizing here leaves Ivey about 3.5 to 1 on a call. And with top pair, that's usually a no-brainer. But what Daniel's really doing here is laying the groundwork for the river. He's planting the seed that says, if you call now, you're going to have to call big later. This is psychological compounding. Pressure applied in stages. Daniel is hoping that Phil did indeed hit that king on the turn, and he's going to try to make him sweat like a maniac.
He calls. The river is a jack.
Wow, Daniel is running better than Prefontaine.
Daniel value bets his trips. Phil forced to call with top 2.
Nope.
So obvious you have a 6. Got 350.
The trip sixes. Phil shows King Jack for top 2. Daniel's trip sixes take 5.
Good call, good call. Good thing you didn't raise. That was smart. You know what you're doing.
Daniel Negreanu has pocket kings.
Raises? Queen high.
Queen high?
He opens the pot to $1,200, a classic early position flex that targets the blinds and sets up a pot he can steer in position. Phil Hellmuth, smooth, calls, choosing pot control and range protection over a thin 3-bet. Eugene Kachaloff comes along as well with ace-9, content to realize in position and take a multi-way flop against 2 ranges that can play face-up on ace-high textures. Kachaloff checks the ace-high flop, protecting a top-pair hand with a middling kicker and letting the action declare itself. Negreanu checks behind. Pocket kings hate attacking into 2 players on an ace board, and the slowdown keeps weaker hands and bluffs alive while controlling the pot. Hellmuth takes the invitation and fires $1,200, a small stab meant to fold out nothing hands and price set against exactly these cautious checks. Kachaloff calls, signaling he is not afraid of a little heat with top pair. Negreanu overcalls, a cagey line that keeps both ranges uncapped and disguises the true strength of kings by wearing the same hoodie as ace-X.
You too, Daniel?
Yeah.
My God.
You didn't expect 2 calls, right?
No,
Just one.
I was expecting 1 call.
No.
All 3 check the turn after the 8 rolls off. That card changes little. Kachaloff sees no need to inflate with his kicker problem. Hellmuth's one-and-done bluff correctly shuts down into 2 sticky ranges, and Negreanu continues the sandbag, preserving the option to spring value or bluff catch on rivered scare cards. The river drops the king of clubs and the trap wakes up. Kachaloff leads $4,200, thin value that hopes to get paid by worse aces and denies a free showdown to stubborn pairs. Negreanu answers with a raise to $14,200, selling a story consistent with a slow-played monster or a patient ace that improved, and crucially targeting the very hand Kachaloff is value betting.
I think Phil's Hollywooding a bit here since he bet out on the flop.
Hellmuth gets out of the way, his earlier poke having run its course. Faced with a credible, disciplined raise from a player who never overbets his bluffs, Kachaloff has to reassess whether ace-9 is really a cash-out hand or a tip jar.
And Eugene folds.
No, I had at least that.
Negreanu is looking down on Jack-10 suited. Lichtenberger opens the hijack and both stacks behind are deep, so the pre-flop incentives matter. With aces, raising to 45K keeps in dominated broadways and pairs while leaving room to play streets post-flop instead of taking a huge 4-bet pot this close to the business end of a major event. Negreanu flats the cutoff with Jack-10 suited. Against a competent hijack opener and a sticky big blind, that hand prints by realizing equity rather than trying to 3-bet. If he 3-bets, he invites a 4-bet from value, folds out the weaker stuff he dominates, and risks playing a bloated pot with a hand that prefers multi-way, position, and disguised equity. D bleeds into 2 players. With top pair and a backdoor club, he denies overcards a free look and sets the price on a texture that can change quickly. Lichtenberger just calls with aces. That's deliberate, raising polarizes him on a wet board and risks pushing out Negreanu's dominated continues. With the ace of clubs, he blocks the nut flush, so he doesn't fear as many bad turns and can keep ranges wide. Negreanu's call with Jack 10 is standard. He has the clean open-ender to the nuts, excellent position, and 2 opponents who will pay him off if he hits. Turning this into a raise would fold out worse and isolate against the top of range. The 7 of clubs hits, and Negreanu picks up the straight at the same time the front door flush completes. Lichtenberger checks as well, which keeps his range disguised and preserves the option to spring a check raise. With aces that include the ace of clubs, he can induce a bet, choose between calling and jamming, and if he is behind, he carries 9 outs to the nuts. Negreanu fires 295k to tax everything at once. The bet extracts from 2 pairs and sets that fear a 4th club, charges single club over pairs that refuse to fold, and denies a cheap river to ace of clubs holdings that would love a free card. The sizing is intentional because it sets up a straightforward stack-off versus a check raise, and avoids giving a volatile river the chance to undo his equity lead.
Feeling comfortable right now. See? You can tell by my energy. Relaxed. What does that usually mean? Huh? What? Dang! As soon as I start yapping, he goes in. Oh, man.
Imagine that you are so good with the mind games that you can induce an all-in shove with just some yapping.
It's tough decision. I'm gonna need a minute.
While we wait for Negreanu to make his decision, please give this video a like. Thank you.
Because you check the turn. I guess you do that with the ace-high flush, right? Well, you have to have it. I don't think I can fold, though. Nice hand, bro.
This part here was inaudible, but you can clearly see that he is saying deuce of hearts a few times.
Called the deuce of hearts. Were you hearing me saying deuce of hearts?
Negreanu is looking down on ace-jack offsuit. He opens to 400 and Torelli flats with pocket 5s, a perfect depth and position call that set mines while keeping Negreanu's weaker aces and broadways in. Pocket 5s thrive in exactly this configuration. Stacks are deep enough to realize implied odds, position is secured on the razor, and there are aggressive players behind who may overcall and sweeten the price. Turning 5s into a 3-bet would narrow Negreanu to a tough, high-card range and invite a 4-bet that forces the pair into a guessy spot or a fold. The flop comes Queen 5-2 with 2 clubs and the initiative shifts. Negreanu has range advantage and fires 1,150, a small c-bet that folds out the air and taxes hands like ace-x without a club while still keeping dominated queens in.
Over half pot into 4 opponents, this bet should come free with a drink at the bar because it is a little nuts.
Torelli springs the value raise to 2,500 with middle set. It builds the pot, protects against club and straight runouts, and forces Negreanu to define his hand. Negreanu's call is the right kind of stubborn. With ace-jack, he has 2 clean overcards. The nut club backdoor via the ace of clubs, and he keeps Torelli's bluffs and thinner value lines alive, rather than turning his hand into a bluff with a 3-bet. The turn is the jack of clubs, and it's a huge texture shift for Negreanu's strategy even though he's still behind. He pairs up, picks up the nut club blocker, and leads 3,100 into a range that just advertised strength on the flop. The donk bet does several jobs at once. It denies a free card to ace-queen and king-queen with a club. It prevents Torelli from setting the price with all of his strong but vulnerable hands. And it tells a story consistent with a flush that arrived and now wants value. Torelli's call keeps the trap set with his set of 5s, but notice how the informational asymmetry flips. Negreanu has seized the narrative and gets to choose the river cadence. The river is the ace of diamonds, pairing Negreanu to aces and jacks and leaving the front door clubs unchanged.
And he moves all in. We could be about to lose Daniel Negreanu.
And immediately turns to the weapon that separates him from almost everyone else at the table, live read pressure via table talk. He starts narrating the hand out loud in a way that pins Torelli to a category.
You got ace, queen of hearts or something?
Alternating confidence with doubt so that every nod in Torelli's head feels recognized. He sprinkles in just enough truth to be believable.
It's like I want to fold.
Really?
You have a what?
I want to fold.
You don't have a fold?
No, I want to fold.
Oh,
I wanted to
did you have ace, queen of hearts? Is that what you have? 'Cause that's kind of what I put you on.
Fold the damn turn.
Ace, queen of hearts might get half. Go for the high, I'll take the low.
Might get half. That's good.
I appreciate you watching this far. If you're enjoying these videos, hit that like button. It really helps me out. Thank you.
You're special, though.
That's what I've been told. He had 5s?
Ding!
And he lays it down! He folds the set!
Show like a red 9 and you're my hero.
I'll show you one card. That's good. Let's see.
King of clubs.
Wow. What a card, right?
You and him have endless trunks of money. He's a school teacher.
Helmut kicks things off with ace-5 offsuit. He is raised to $1,000, but he's up against Fishman with king-queen suited, who's a math teacher known for making razor-sharp, calculated plays.
I don't win very many pots from this spot, so.
Fishman calls. Williams calls. Deuce, jack, ace, 2 clubs. Action flop.
This looks like a fun board.
Williams checks instantly and Helmut checks behind him, but Fishman isn't waiting around. He fires out $3,000 into the pot, repping strength and leaning on that nut flush draw.
Hellmuth raises.
This is a pretty easy call with a flush draw, gut shot, and 2 big cards.
And there it is by Fishman.
The turn brings the 5 of hearts, and Helmut quickly bets $15,000, now holding 2 pair and looking to extract value.
His pairs are still no good, but PH could be doing this with worse flush draws, and he's got enough behind for decent implied odds.
Fishman is behind, but still has plenty of outs to improve, and this decision should not be a tough one for a math whiz like him.
Add it all up, and Fishman makes the call.
He's looking for a club or a 10.
The river. There's the 10 completing the straight.
Fishman tries to keep a stone-cold face as he watches the river give him the nuts.
Action on Hellmuth.
23,600.
His bet is an attempt to build the pot, but Fishman, with the nuts, is gonna try to include some serious acting.
23,600 into a $45,000 pot.
This is pretty dirty. Fishman's reverse pedaling the nuts.
Helmut, with 2 pair, doesn't know he's walking into a trap. Fishman, with the nuts, is gonna try to include some serious acting, waiting for him to commit more chips.
I'm not gonna let you do this to me again, Phil. I can't let you do this to me again.
Leonardo DiCaprio could not be selling this any better.
How much you got behind?
This is Fishman's way of trying to convince him he's not too strong. Helmut tries to keep as cold as possible and doesn't even answer Fishman's question.
Was there an answer to that?
Like 85 or something.
I'm all in.
Fishman shoves.
He even fake hesitated. Watch that Oscar, Leo.
I'm done, Phil.
I see method acting, improv, pantomime. If Phil calls here, the kid stays in the picture.
Ha 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 ha. This acting is so terrible that it makes you wonder if it's not a double bluff. Helmut is going to blow up after he sees what Fishman is holding.
This is so sick. I mean, is it possible that I just get cooled every hand I play here? You got king, queen of clubs? I mean, I guess so.
Phil's put him on his exact hand.
God, all that talking leads me to believe that. Wow.
Now, that might be real. I'd certainly be shaking either way.
All right, I call.
Hellmuth calls and sees king, queen of clubs.
Bingo! Can I even play in this game? I mean, what the they find? I mean, what the?
That was a great read, by the way. You had him.
Yeah, you're a real. The guy hits a miracle 10 on me, and what? You want to just step
He's
on
a
me?
school teacher, and you and him have endless trunks of money. Endless trunks of money. He's a school teacher. For God's sakes, man.
Screaming will do you a lot of good.
Phil Hellmuth is looking down on 9-7 offsuit. He limps, which caps his range and invites someone to attack the dead money. Minieri obliges with an isolation raise using a suited king, a great candidate because it has blockers, plays well post-flop, and pushes the button on everyone who limped. Locke and Martinez come along, which pulls the SPR up and widens continuing ranges.
I get unstuck. I get off the tilt juice.
Hard to get off that tilt teat.
Hellmuth overcalls rather than 3-betting, a choice that keeps the pot manageable, preserves positional leverage against the razor, and allows weaker holdings to realize without facing a big pre-flop decision. This texture is excellent for the pre-flop aggressor. As the only player who routinely shows up with strong King X after raising, Minieri can c-bet profitably. The small sizing pressures ace high, punishes under pairs, and denies equity to random backdoors while risking little against slow-played traps. Helmuth check calls instead of raising. That keeps bluffs firing, prevents the pot from ballooning versus the portion of Minieri's range that will not fold, and sets up a decision tree where Hellmuth can choose which turns to accelerate on. Multi-way callers have folded, so we are quickly moving toward a heads-up range battle that favors the in-position player's initiative and the out-of-position player's ability to trap. The second king super polarizes things. From Minieri's seat, this is a green light to barrel because his range contains far more King X than Hellmuth's limp call range. The bet around $5,300 targets exactly the hands that called once and hate life now, medium pairs and stubborn ace high, and it continues to build a pot in case he is ahead. Hellmuth's second check call is strategic. Raising isolates him against very strong holdings and folds out hands that might bluff again. Calling keeps his range wider, invites another polarized river bet, and protects the times he is bluff catching with decent showdown value. From a range math perspective, once the king pairs, the pre-flop raiser's value density increases, which means the out-of-position player should avoid thin raises and lean into induce lines. Nothing material completes, so Minieri retains a nut advantage and chooses a large polar bet of $17,200. That sizing asks a capped range to overdefend, and it puts maximum pressure on one-pair type catchers that arrived here by calling twice.
Oh, man.
Hellmuth's final check call makes sense within that framework. He beats all the natural stabs that gave up drawing equity on the turn.
It's just unreal what happens to me at this place. I mean, I'm just so sick of it, you know? I mean,
I had the best hand of chart, I had the best hand on the river.
What the is going on in this place? They do me
What the
kings
is going on
versus
the river? How
queens,
do you
I
call it? You
flop
always think a
trips.
bluff, I only wait for the nuts.
Negreanu is holding deuce 4 suited from the small blind, but he's up against Veldhuis and Harlow, who both have him beat. For now.
King 8 suited for Lex, raised to 1400. Suited 1 gapper for Daniel in the small blind. He calls. Ace 8 for Russ. He's in.
Flop comes ace jack 6. Negreanu understandably checks, but Harlow also checks with pair of aces, giving Veldhuis a free opportunity to scare them off.
He does, betting 2700.
Lex's bet could easily just be a C-bet, which it is, and Russ checks, so he looks pretty weak.
Daniel should definitely be folding here. I have no idea why he's counting his chips. It's hard to imagine a scenario where chasing this draw is worth it. He raises to 7,200. Harlow is in a good spot here with 95% chance to win.
Best hand.
But he folds.
That's a ridiculous fold. Russ just doesn't have enough time or chips to fold there. Why call pre-flop if you're going to fold top pair?
This is why you must attack first on the flop, especially with pair of aces. This could easily be a bluff, but Veldhuis has to think carefully, because even though he's got 80% equity, a king high is not something you usually call with on this flop against Negreanu.
Lex calls.
A stone float.
The turn would have given Russ trips.
Negreanu checks it over, clearly not feeling confident about his 4-2 offsuit. He's looking to see if Veldhuis will take a stab at this pot, but he also checks behind.
The river, the 9 of hearts.
Both these guys were up to the same thing, checking the turn so they can fire a bet on the river without it having to be too big.
There's that Veldhuisian stare.
Negreanu looks like he will try to represent the flush on the river. If he doesn't bet high enough, he might get raised by Veldhuis.
He bets 9,000.
This is a pretty good bet from Daniel. 9,000 makes it seem like he wants to get called. Looks like Lex might have to reconsider his float plans. Lex could very well fold this or follow through on the float maybe, but I don't see him calling.
He does call.
King Haya? That's good. Nice call. Jeez. What the hell was that?
That is just a sick, sick call.
Tony G is looking down at ace-8 offsuit, but he's facing arguably the best in the world, Daniel Negreanu, who's holding jack-9 offsuit.
Tony calls.
I'm going to raise you. Nothing crazy, just 2 more.
To 2,800.
I'm committed.
Tony calls.
Committed to the river. He's committed.
The flop comes queen 10 deuce rainbow. The check from Tony indicates he's not as comfortable committing to the pot as he was pre-flop, so Daniel will now be looking to apply pressure. He bets $3,500, which doesn't really give Tony a read, so I don't see how he could fold here.
Tony calls.
He's committed.
Well, he qualified.
He's got hot with ace high. The turn, 5 of clubs.
The turn changes nothing, and Tony checks again. I think Daniel has no choice but to keep attacking here.
That's 7,500.
If Tony thinks his ace high may be good, he's right.
He doesn't seem to be going for the fold like Negreanu wants him to.
He calls.
He's qualified.
Daniel is acting confident, but if the river doesn't deliver him the straight, he might be in big trouble since Tony is first to act.
The river, the 6 of clubs. Tony checks.
I think Tony was planning on betting the river but got scared of the flush.
Another brick for Daniel. Here comes the third barrel.
11,000.
Daniel's really hoping that Tony hasn't qualified.
Tony still looks like he doesn't want to fold, but folding or raising are the only options here. There's no way he just calls.
Qualified with a deuce or a 10?
Ace high.
I thought for sure it was a deuce.
I think Daniel's done a pretty good job of making this look like a value bet.
Easy money. There's so much in there. Take it.
Tony calls.
What if I'm on the show betting, I can't possibly have a pair. Ace is good. I have jack 9.
man.
Tom Dwan is looking down on pocket sevens, but he's up against Doug Polk, who's raised to $3,000 with 5-4 suited. 99% of players would just fold with Doug Polk's cards here, but at a cash game of these stakes, the players are mostly playing the players, not the cards. It's a semi-bluff. He's hoping he can steal the pot uncontested.
14.
Tom Dwan raises more than 2 times the pot. This is a classic squeeze spot, punishing Doug Polk's wide cutoff open by denying him the cheap positional advantage and forcing him to commit big if he wants to dance. Doug Polk definitely knows he's a big underdog against a small blind 3-bet range. The call here is less about hand strength and more about trying to outplay Tom Dwan post-flop, using position to create fold equity.
Doug Polk opening the suited connector in the cutoff. Tom Dwan puts in the 3-bet from the small blind and flops middle sets. 31,000 in the middle.
In 3-bet pots, the pre-flop aggressor usually controls the story, and this board gives Tom all the credibility in the world. Doug's range has a lot of air here, so Tom can lean into that advantage and apply maximum pressure, knowing position alone won't save Doug if the bets start piling up.
Doug Polk is going to float.
I don't know why, but I thought Warren just said all in for a second, and I was like, whoa.
Needs running cards to make a hand.
The 6 of hearts on the turn gives Doug Polk an open-ended straight draw, and knowing his maniac style of playing, it could cost him a lot of money.
Could win on the river with an 8 or a 3.
Tilt software, let's get this shit going.
This should be...
Another half pot bet.
115.
And Doug's going to raise.
By inflating the pot here, Doug Polk is putting maximum pressure on Dwan's range and setting up the possibility to shove the river whether he hits or not.
I call.
Interesting.
Battling.
Tom Dwan knows Doug loves bluffing, so he checks to trap him.
420.
What are we doing?
You win.
I know I win, probably.
Uh-oh.
Daniel Negreanu opens the action with ace-queen, one of those classic Broadway hands that works beautifully as a raise.
Come on, Daniel, every hand?
Yes, every hand.
Jeez.
Every hand till Saturday.
Saturday, he gets his highlights touched up.
But when Barbero calls with pocket deuces, he is entering the hand with a completely different script. Small pairs are not strong in isolation.
Got Kenny.
Asham and Kenny call.
Here we go.
Got some of that loose cannon money.
For Negreanu, this looks like a board he can lean on. The paired deuce means there are fewer combinations of trips available, and with his pre-flop raise, he can credibly represent all the strong aces and overpairs. So he fires $3,000, aiming to pick up the pot uncontested or extract value from pairs below the ace. Barbero, though, is sitting on quads. If he raises here, he narrows Negreanu's range immediately to hands that can continue, and with quads, that is the last thing he wants. By just calling, he lets Negreanu's entire bluffing range stay alive, setting a trap that is as much psychological as mathematical. The turn brings the ace. This is where the hand shifts. For Negreanu, the ace is one of the best cards in the deck. His hand improves to top pair, top kicker, and it strengthens the story he's been telling since pre-flop. But this same card is a gift to Barbero. Now Negreanu is less likely to slow down, more likely to stack off, and completely unaware he is drawing dead. Negreanu checks, perhaps to control the size of the pot, but Barbero is not letting this street pass by. He bets $9,200, a number that looks perfectly believable as a value bet with a medium ace or even a stubborn pocket pair. Negreanu calls, convinced he is still far ahead of the likely range. Negreanu checks again, expecting Barbero to take a stab. Barbero obliges with $20,000, a sizing that pressures Negreanu's entire calling range but still looks callable with top pair. From Negreanu's seat, folding feels impossible.
I'm thinking like 6s or 7s. Sixes or 7s are good for me. I had you on ace-4, unfortunately, on the turn. So if you had ace-4, then you just made a straight. Huh.
Drop the stakes you play at in the comments and whether you're an online grinder or live game player. Let's see if we're running with high rollers or micro warriors.
God, I don't like that river. Such a good river for you. if you put me on jacks, right? You figure I have jacks, you have to bet that river card now. So many, I leveled myself with the pause in the turn. You know what I mean? On the turn, I studied, and like sort of changed my range in his eyes, which forces me to go like that.
Daniel calls.
I had the nuts.
Oh, that's good too. Quads!
Negreanu is looking down on 10-9 suited. Shlomi opens to $475 with pocket kings, the classic early position value raise that invites dominated high cards to make mistakes. Boniati flats behind, a routine set mine that keeps the opener wide and creates a pot where overpairs are forced to play multi-way. On the button, Negreanu overcalls with 10-9 suited. He buys position against a likely overpair, keeps the pot single raised so his connected hand can realize, and preserves a post-flop story that can credibly arrive at straights and two-pair on many middling runouts. With 3 players and deep stacks, Negreanu's plan is to control price now and fight for leverage later. The board rolls out wet and middle, exactly the texture that pressures an opener's range. Shlomi continuation bets $1,525 into 2 opponents to tax the spades and charge the gutters while protecting his likely overpair. Boniati steps aside, Negreanu continues. With top pair, strong kicker for this configuration, and position, calling is superior to raising. It keeps Shlomi's bluffs alive, avoids isolating versus the strongest value, and retains every turn card that can add equity or scare an overpair. He's now set up to maneuver without inflating the pot unnecessarily. The Queen of Hearts lands. That card is fine for kings, but improves Negreanu's believable value region to include Queen 9 and some 2-pair that could have peeled. Shlomi opts for a measured $2,125, continuing his value protection line, without bloating the pot on a card that helps the caller more than the pre-flop raiser. Negreanu calls again, disciplined and deliberate. He keeps his range uncapped, realizes equity with 10-9, and holds the option to seize the narrative on favorable rivers, or punish thin value bets with a polarizing raise. The river is the 8 of clubs, a quiet but meaningful shift that completes 6-7 and strengthens combos like 9-8 that Negreanu can absolutely show up with. Shlomi puts out a small $3,000 bet, more price setting than power, trying to get looked up by worse pairs while avoiding a big decision. Negreanu springs the trap to $12,800, polarizing himself to straights, 2-pair, or sets, and telling a story perfectly consistent with his passive turn. 10-9 is a sharp candidate. It blocks calls from Queen 9, doesn't block missed spades, and represents exactly the value holdings that beat an overpair.
Aces or kings? Can I say that, or is that illegal? Heads up. I can say what he has, but not what I have. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking aces or kings.
I appreciate you watching this far. Could you please give this video a like? Thank you.
And Shlomi's now thinking, if you've read me for aces or kings, surely you can beat aces or kings. I have to fold.
Daniel Negreanu is looking down at 10-7 offsuit, but Seaver has raised to $1,300 with pocket 5s, and Hashem has called with Jack 10 suited.
Uh-oh, this is Daniel's favorite hand, and it's actually gotten him into trouble in the big game before.
Re-raises on the button to 5,200.
He knows Seaver's range is wide and Hashem's flat is vulnerable. Even though it's his favorite hand, he's trying to play the players, not the cards. This raise is about letting them know that he's going to give them a hard time this hand if they decide to play along.
Scott Seaver is really hoping Daniel has an overpair so that he has the right implied odds to make this call.
Hashem folded, so heads up to the flop. King, deuce, queen. Seaver checks the best hand.
Negreanu knows Seaver could easily have king queen here after raising and then calling Daniel's re-raise pre-flop. But why would he check? Daniel smells weakness, and that's usually when he gets curious.
He reps, betting 6,200.
Looks like Scott's gonna peel.
He calls.
Hashem wants his cards back.
6 of spades on the turn. Seaver checks.
Daniel still got just 10 high. This is one of the dangers of having a favorite hand.
Daniel does not look like he's about to check. After just calling the flop and checking the turn, Negreanu is probably putting Seaver on a draw or the weak pocket pair he does indeed have. He's thinking, if I apply the right pressure now, Seaver might just fold and give me all the money.
Daniel does fire that third barrel, making it 14,200 to go.
I could justify Scott's call on the flop, thinking maybe Daniel would shut down after one bet, but Daniel certainly hasn't shut down.
Seaver keeps it going. He calls.
Seaver's totally stationing Negreanu.
You mean like a calling station?
Exactly.
4 clubs on the river. Seaver checks.
Sick.
Daniel fires 36,000.
Seaver is capped, checked every street, and never repped strength. Daniel has nothing, but he knows Seaver is weak enough to fold. This is a masterclass.
Folds the winner.
Phew-wee. He had me staring. I had my favorite hand. You know what that is?
10-7?
7 of diamonds and 10 of clubs specifically. Can't believe I got away with a bluff.
Negreanu is looking down on pocket deuces. Luca opens to 30K with pocket nines, a bread-and-butter early raise that covers a wide band of low and middling boards and pressures the offsuit broadways behind him. The hand wants callers who show up with overcards and then miss. It also doesn't mind playing smaller pots where it can value bet cleanly across safe runouts. Negreanu flat calls with pocket deuces. Small pairs love this configuration. He has position to control price. Stacks are deep enough to realize implied odds, and keeping it single raise preserves all the set and wheel runouts that print against one pair. Turning deuces into a 3-bet would just funnel Luca into strong overpairs and invite a 4-bet. Calling keeps the deck wide and the story flexible. The flop comes low and connected, exactly the texture where the caller can credibly have all the sets and the occasional 4-2 or 6-5. Luca makes the routine range C-bet for 28K. On this board, the small size folds out pure air, taxes random overcards like ace-queen, and keeps worse-made hands honest without bloating the pot or polarizing his range. Negreanu's raised to 95K. From this configuration is perfectly believable. He's repping sets, 2-pair like 6-5 suited, and some straights. With deuces, he isn't spinning it. He holds a live gutter to the wheel plus 2 cleanouts to a set, so he's applying pressure with real equity while seizing the narrative. The sizing forces overpairs and top pairs to define themselves now, rather than getting a cheap turn that could punish them. Luca's call protects his overpairs and some slow plays, but it also hands tempo to Negreanu and nudges Luca toward a bluff-catch posture on a lot of turns. He's inviting Negreanu to keep telling the story and hoping to catch him on a bad card. The turn pairs the 3 and Luca checks. It's a tricky card for both players. It slightly trims the number of set combos. Negreanu repped on the flop, while making overpairs feel a touch safer against bluffs and draws. Negreanu checks back. That's the disciplined pivot. Firing again would polarize on a card that dulls his set story and invites stubborn calls from exactly the hands he wants to move on the river. The river is the 8 of clubs, and Luca checks a 3rd time. After flop pressure and turn control, that 3rd check leaves his range heavy on single pair hands that hate facing a big ask.
Daniel bets ridiculously big, 400K. Wow. And Luca folds. That was not the bet he was trying to induce. Daniel's reputation earns him a win there. Bluffs like that from him are few and far between.
Jennifer Tilly is looking down on 8-6 suited. Negreanu opens with ace-2 offsuit. That is a light but purposeful steal, using the ace as a blocker to reduce the chance he runs into a premium and leaning on position to realize whatever equity shows up later. Tilly answers with a re-raise. That choice is great against a suspected wide open because suited connectors play cleanly post-flop, deny cheap realization to the opener, and set her up to attack a player who loves to take flops.
It's a little too small, Jen. Phil Locke is going to be upset with you after that raise size because it's too small.
Last time I took advice from you, I lost the tournament.
Sorry.
Negreanu calls rather than 4-betting. He keeps her range wide, carries the positional advantage into a pot that is not yet bloated, and quietly pockets the option to turn later cards into leverage even when he misses.
Okay, now I'm going to do the dunk bet.
It's not a donk bet because you were the pre-flop raiser.
Oh, okay, it's not a dunk bet.
It's a continuation bet.
A continuation bet.
Tilly follows through for a small C-bet. The sizing stresses floats and gut shots and keeps her range comfortably uncapped.
A lot of bad cards come off, and then I can just bluff raise the turn or something stupid like that.
You could.
Turn a pair into a bluff. I'm really good at that. It's one of my big things Bill Reynolds taught me.
Negreanu does not have value, but he does have a plan. He calls to float, buying one more card and preserving the initiative advantage that comes from acting last. If she slows on the turn, he gets to tell the next chapter. If she barrels big, he can release cheaply and move on. The texture inches toward the middling wheelish territory that favors the caller. Tilly checks. That single check compresses her range away from very strong overpairs and toward 1-pair hands and draws that prefer pot control. Negreanu seizes the mic with a bet. The number is not huge, but the message is loud. He denies a free card to overcards, pressures hands like ace-queen and king-jack that C-bet once, and begins building a story that can arrive at straights and 2-pair by the river. His literal hand did not improve, however his distribution did, because the cards he credibly represent improved. Calling the flop to take it away on the turn is classic small ball pressure, and he executes it cleanly. This is the card that ties the room together, and the run-out connects squarely with the very suited connectors that defend 3-bet pots from the blinds. Tilly leads small. That type of sizing often functions as a blocker, a way to name a price with a hand that does not want to face a pot-sized bomb. To Negreanu, that looks like a door left slightly open. He chooses to kick it in and chips. The shove polarizes him to the straights and strong two-pair he has been representing since the turn.
We probably have the same hand. Oh, so sick. You have 9-jack, right?
Would that be the same hand as you have? Because if you did have that and you didn't call by now, it would be a little bizarre.
You're in Jennifer Tilly's seat. You have the straight. Negreanu shoves over your small lead. What's your move, snap call, or an impossible fold? And why in one sentence? Best clear answer gets pinned.
Oh, God.
Oh, you have a 6? You raised me with a 6 out of position?
No.
That's crazy talk.
Tilly folds.
Moron, mother.
Helmuth kicks things off with pocket deuce. This is a hand that only someone as wild as Phil Helmuth can play when faced with a raise. Little does he know, his aggression will end up making him mad once again.
You were like drawing dead.
Right after making the call, Helmuth plays one of his special cards. Complete shithousery. He directly calls out his opponent for drawing dead and bluffing him. Let's see if it will work out. Perkins completely unbothered by Helmuth's antics calls with 8-4 suited. I guess these must be his lucky numbers, or else I don't see a reason why he would go three-way with these cards. The flop is here, and oh boy, does it deliver some drama. We have 5 with 2 jacks. Now it can be anyone's game. Let's see what Helmuth will do here. With Perkins and Williams both showing weakness with their checks, Helmuth will want to take control of the pot. To do that, he instantly fires a bet for $4,000. Perkins with his 8-4 suited didn't have to think too long about what to do next, and does what every one of us would do in this spot and folds. Williams, on the other hand, didn't think at all. He snap called the bet as if he is holding the nuts and is just waiting for Helmuth to bloat the pot some more. The turn delivers a queen of clubs, which makes things even more interesting. Now Williams has an open-ended straight draw and is looking stronger than ever in this hand. Even though the turn improved his hand, Williams still decides to check in order to see how Helmuth will play it out first. And that's exactly what Helmuth was waiting for. After no more than a few seconds of thinking, he fires another 4,000 bet, trying to pressure Williams out of seeing the river. For better or for worse, Williams almost snap calls the bet, which means he either thinks Helmuth has nothing or is just feeling super lucky.
Even a 5 or a queen can counterfeit Phil's hand.
The turn delivers a king, which completely shifts the game, and Williams is now in the lead. Make sure to watch until the end to see Helmuth going crazy after the showdown.
King. Here it comes.
That's the ejector seat straight out of Goldfinger. Williams.
Moron, mother.
Phil Helmuth is looking down on pocket nines. He is mostly up against celebrities, but even in those situations, people find ways to make him tilt, and Mr. Beast won't be an exception.
Now he picks up the hand that won him his first World Series of Poker main event.
As we could have all expected, having amateurs on the table doesn't make things go fast, and people are more likely to play with random hands, as we can see by the many limpers. Slime takes things into his own hands, though, and raises to $2,400. That gets snap called by Mr. Beast, and after some weird shenanigans from XQC, 3 betted by him with ace-deuce offsuit.
Mr. Beast with 150 in front of him, so.
$1.3 million retail, like 450 in inventory. The what? I just told the story like 3 times.
He lost a shit ton of money by tweeting out, I'm going to give people free chocolate who like this tweet.
Oh, yeah.
Now we can observe XQC looking for the jack somewhere below the table, but as he can't find it, he decides to check, which is followed by a unison check around the table until Mr. Beast does this.
Well, you're right, 10.
I don't know what Mr. Beast has, but based on what else everybody else has.
Let me know in the comments, what is your guess for Mr. Beast's cards?
Phil's gonna call anyway, with 9s. Not a believer.
The turn brings the 8 of diamonds, which I don't really know how to feel about. Not knowing Mr. Beast's cards, he might have a straight or a flush draw, and I bet Phil Helmuth is getting more and more heated with those pocket 9s. After you see Phil Helmuth's blow up, make sure to rate it in the comments from 1 to 10 of how crazy it was on the Brat scale.
He has probably something good, and he wants me to bet. But I kind of want him to bet as well, so it's fine.
It's your call, and you bet.
25.
You make two pair, 10-3?
All right, that counts.
Okay. I mean, I have a queen, so you probably have a king.
You got a queen? You got me.
Yeah.
Queen of hearts, five of hearts.
It's like impossible that I could ever be losing in this game. The man just bet a queen
you do
five.
that for a living?
I called 5,000 under the fucking gun. I gotta have 9s or above, and he bet a queen 5 for value on the river.
You're just not believable anymore, okay? Stop.
Helmuth kicks things off with pocket kings. He was getting a bad beat after bad beat on this table. So now his fortunes seem to be turning around.
Helmuth with kings now. Well, he's lipped it a bunch. Let's see if he keeps it balanced.
Come on, just
No,
min-raise
he's gonna raise it.
Oh my God,
Raise it up
why?
to 8.
After 3 folds, we reach Chamath with his king 4 suited. It must be his lucky hand or something, because he will call Helmuth's bet. Unfortunately for him, though, Stanley, who is looking down on these juicy queens, is going to.
Raise it. 5,200.
There's the 3-bet. Just a call from Phil. No 4-bet. Getting the other people out. That's going to bring Keating in, I'm sure it does.
Helmuth is probably silently screaming from happiness on the inside. This 3-bet is perfect for him, and he snap calls it. The real question is, why would Keating and Chamath pay this steep price with such marginal hands? But that, I will leave to you, the viewer. The flop comes 8-7-8 rainbow. It might not be perfect because sometimes pair of 7s or 8s gets through this 3-bet to see the flop. But Helmuth should be reasonably happy with how it turned out for now. Stanley bets $5,000 again, and this time out, only Helmuth will make the call, with Keating and Chamath finally taking the smart and right option of folding those weak hands.
And the queen on the turn. Oh, we're going to see some steam.
Gentlemen, I can officially attest to the fact that Helmuth is probably the unluckiest player I have ever seen. This queen is about to wipe the calmness off of Helmuth's face. The only question left is, will Choi play it so he extracts maximum value plus a bonus of Helmuth's rage at the end?
Bet 21.
All right, 21,000.
Wow. I have a bad feeling you have me, but I have an overpair.
Yep.
Come on, this motherfucking goddamn fucking queen.
What's that? What's that?
Ah!
She's in with 6s.
Jennifer Tilly kicks things off with pocket 6s. This is a decent hand to entertain a small raise with and see if luck is on your side.
Back on Arden. She calls the 3-bet as well, so 3-way to the flop. Oh my word, set over set and Griffin's flop top pair?
This is going to be bad for Griffin, but it's going to be real bad for Arden.
With the board that the flop delivers, everyone has something to bet about. But instead of that, Tilly and Cho decide to check. With that in mind, our weak top pair is trying to take control of the board by shooting a small bet of $2,500. Tilly is loving it because other than a set of kings, nothing else on the board beats her, and she would love to see this pot growing, so naturally she calls. Miss Cho, on the other hand, has a completely different plan. She is not waiting for the pot to grow. She is growing it herself. She does that by firing a $9,400 bet. Now Benger has a choice. Entertain this top pair, or realize the truth and just give up.
Why is he so serious? He's like a goober 99% of the time.
The angry man quickly decides to fold and not pursue the king. On the other hand, Tilly is more than happy to oblige Miss Cho by re-raising to $30,000 with her set of 6s.
Oh boy.
Jen re-raises $30,000.
At this point, Miss Cho should know the deep trouble she finds herself in, but still decides to go ahead and call on her set of 5s. The turn delivers the 9 of clubs, a card that is completely irrelevant to both of them. If I was in the position of Tilly, I would be betting pot here. What would you? Let me know in the comments below. I guess Tilly is not so happy about my jamming suggestion, so she decides to check here and wait for something magical on river. Same thing for Miss Cho. In her case, though, that is in her favor.
And Arden spikes a 1-outer. She's got quads. Meanwhile, Jenna's river to full house.
Buckle up, because this hand just went from pretty sick to absolutely bonkers.
People say patience is a virtue, but in Tilly's case, her patience came to bite her from behind. The river delivers the only card that can save Miss Cho, and that is the 5 of clubs. Now the only question is, will Tilly get baited by her now full house hand? Or will she read her for the quads Miss Cho has? And as we all thought she should do, Miss Cho goes.
There it is.
This is not good.
No, it sure isn't.
If Jen calls, this will be the biggest pot of the game.
Arnon, do you have quads? Because I can't beat quads.
Does she know?
I don't think you have kings full. And I don't think you have nines full. You might have fives full.
That's a call.
Vixen, our cowgirl over here, opens up to pocket kings. An extremely powerful hand that you want to 3-bet your opponents with. And that is exactly what she did. But against her is Zephysh holding the pocket queens, who snap calls her bet. Now only the cards will decide who will win this one. It's time to deal the flop.
Vixen, 2 kings.
Get her.
With a massive 3-bet. Zephysh, the queens.
They made a small mistake on stream which will be fixed. DQ with the ace-3 is folded and the pot is smaller. Even though our cowgirl queen was in the lead, this queen on the flop changes everything. But as she is first to act, Vixen decides to portray strength and bet $2,600. Zephysh thinks for a second, so he doesn't reveal that he is holding the current nuts and casually calls Vixen's bet. I would have 3-bet her here for sure.
And a king on the turn. Set over set. 14K in the pots. It's in. The money's in.
That turn all but guarantees Vixen's win. Zephysh only out is to make quads, and as you can see, there is only 2% chance of that happening. Now Vixen has only one question, and that is, how much does she bet? She takes 39 seconds of thinking before going.
There's the all-in Zephysh and a snap. What a disaster! $32,000 in the pot.
I always go once.
Yeah, sure.
Vixen calls for one time.
Nice, huh?
And the river breaks.
Daniel Negreanu opens the action by raising to $1,200 with pair of kings. It's a textbook move, designed to build the pot while protecting his kings from speculative hands that could get lucky. Enter Tony G. With ace-9 suited, a speculative hand that thrives on post-flop potential, he decides to flat call the raise. This move is classic Tony G, stirring the pot with a hand that can either hit big or land him in hot water. Wiggins' ace-king is a premium hand, but against Negreanu's kings, he's walking straight into a dominant position. His re-raise signals strength, potentially trying to isolate against the original raiser or take down the pot outright. Negreanu steps up the aggression, re-raising to $13,100 with his pair of kings, a clear signal that he's not here to play around. This move not only protects his hand, but also forces his opponents to make some tough decisions. Tony G, ever the entertainer, realizes he's been caught in the middle with his speculative ace-9 suited. Even Tony knows when it's time to let go. From Wiggins' perspective, ace-king plays well against many hands Negreanu could be re-raising with, such as pocket queens or jacks. However, against kings, he's drawing thin, hoping for an ace to come to his rescue. The flop comes down 6 diamonds, 5 clubs, 7 diamonds, creating a low and connected board. Wiggins decides to check before seeing the flop, taking a cautious approach and potentially hiding his range. This move signals that he's either looking to control the pot size or hoping to catch a favorable turn card. Negreanu wastes no time asserting his dominance, firing a hefty continuation bet aimed at charging any potential draws or weaker hands that might want to see another card. With the low and coordinated board, Negreanu's kings are still well ahead, but he's wisely protecting his equity while building the pot. Wiggins folds with a smile, but Negreanu's strategic betting once again proves why he's one of the best in the game. Aussie Katola opens the button to 150K with King-Jack offsuit. That sizing keeps Foxen's range wide and gives Katola position plus initiative with a hand that flops strong pairs and good 2-pair combos. Alex Foxen defends the big blind with 8-6 of diamonds. Suited connectors are bread and butter, defends heads up. They realize equity well, threaten powerful semi-bluffs on many turns, and can cooler 1-pair hands. On the flop, Foxen checks his second pair with backdoor flush possibilities and tons of turn cards to attack. Kitola checks back top 2. That's deliberate pot control and deception on a very dynamic texture. The front door diamonds arrive and the ace smashes ranges.
Foxen made the flush. And Kitola has completely under-repped his hand.
We saw this before though, Randy. Aussie checked back Jack 10, allowed Foxen to improve to a backdoor flush, and was able to find a river fold.
Foxen turns a flush and leads 250K. From his seat, this is a must bet. He has a strong value hand, he denies equity to single diamond hands, and he targets exactly Kitola's checkbacks like King X and Jack X that hate this card but cannot fold. Kitola just calls with kings and jacks. Raising would polarize himself and fold out worse while isolating only stronger flushes. Calling keeps Foxen's bluffs alive, controls the pot on a scary card, and leverages his redraw to a full house on paired rivers. The board pairs and Kitola improves to a full house, kings full of jacks. Foxen sees a river that shouldn't change much against most of Kitola's perceived turn call range, and value bets 5,500K with his flush, targeting one pair hands and ace X with a diamond. Kitola now has the perfect shove. Jamming for roughly 6.1 million applies maximum pressure to every non-boat hand, credibly represents exactly what he has, and captures value from any flush that decides it is too high up to fold heads up.
If Foxen calls here, it's just over. He'll be down $6 million, and I don't see how he can fold.
If we can imagine for a second that playing in such stakes is possible for us mere mortals, what would you do in Foxen's position? Let me know in the comments.
Call.
He calls. The biggest pot, $11 million.
Goofy limps the big blind with King 10 suited. Limping protects his range, invites isolates from hands he dominates, and keeps the pot manageable out of position with a hand that plays cleanly post-flop. Nick airball isolates to $1,200 from under the gun with Queen 9 offsuit. The raise pressures the limp, seizes initiative, and expects to realize equity against a single caller. Goofy calls. Suited Broadway is too strong to fold, too thin to 3-bet out of position, and calling keeps Nick's range wide. Goofy checks. On an ace high, 2 diamond texture, Nick is supposed to continuation bet often, so checking lets that happen. Nick obliges for $700, a small, range-driven stab that folds air and taxes random backdoors while leaning on his perceived ace advantage. Goofy check raises to $1,700. King 10 of diamonds is a premium semi-bluff, gut shot to Broadway, the king high diamond draw, and even a royal flush. Raising clears out weak queens and 5s to 9s, charges worse draws, and starts a pot that can realize maximum value when diamonds or Broadway materialize. Nick calls with middle pair and position, keeping bluffs in and retaining control of the pot size. Bang! The third diamond lands and Goofy upgrades from a draw to the nuts. With his story perfectly coherent after the flop raise, he leads $2,000. Leading now Prince, worse diamonds pay, stubborn Queen X pays, and some Ace X talk themselves into continuing because the Jack is a counterfeit scare rather than a clean killer in their minds. Goofy goes for a small, irresistible value bet of $3,500. After check raise, lead, and a blank river, this size targets exactly what Nick shows up with most often.
Makes the call.
Royale.
Royale with cheese.
Royal.
Schwan is looking down on pocket 9s. Dylan opens to $150 with King Jack suited, classic live open that leverages position, plays well multi-way, and keeps dominated Broadways in. L.A. Dylan 3 bets to $400 with Ace-8 suited, a light but sound squeeze that blocks the strongest 4 bets, takes initiative, and retains playability when called. Schwan cold calls with pocket 9s in the small blind versus a wide squeeze and a single open, set mining is priced in, and 9s also realize well on many flops. Dylan closes the action by calling King-Jack suited, doesn't want to 4-bet and face a jam. It realizes equity cleanly in position. Schwan checks her underpair on a paired 2-diamond board. Leading folds worse and isolates better. Dylan checks in the middle 2 overcards but no diamond and sandwiched between ranges, so pot control is best. L.A. Dylan stabs $500 into a multi-way pot. That bet folds a chunk of ace-highs underpairs, charges diamond draws, and keeps his C-bet range balanced with some bluffs. Juan calls. 9s beat a lot of L.A. Dylan stabs and can improve. Raising mostly turns her hand into a bluff versus better 10s flush draws. Dylan lets it go. No diamond, poor visibility. The 3rd diamond lands and an overcard to Schwan's 9s arrives. Schwan checks again, keeping her range uncapped and avoiding getting blown off equity by a check raise. From her seat, L.A. Dylan's flop stab can include many single diamond floats. Forcing those to fire again has value. L.A. Dylan checks back, very disciplined with ace-8 no diamond. His turn barrel would target mostly stronger hands and invite check raises from Schwan's diamond holdings. Checking preserves showdown value versus busted floats and protects his range for when she does show up with slow-played flushes. 4 diamonds on board plus straights complete. Ranges compress and many 1-pair hands hate life. Juan leads for $2,895.
Really? I played this so bad then.
Brittany just sat down to play a few hands of poker and is all smiles. But little does she know, her night won't be too long. She is getting busted in 2 hands by our villain. And believe me, they are crazy coolers. In the first hand, Brittany opens with Queen 10 offsuit. Not the greatest hand, but we all know Brittany likes playing aggressively. Brittany already raised $200 and is waiting to see who is going to entertain her tonight. With 4 more people around the table calling, the flop is going to be wild. Anyone can get a hit.
Still working on it. Oh my God! The flop delivers the 2-pair for Brittany and a set for Raver.
The flop follows the same mood of the players and it has something for everyone. But our villain, who currently has the lead, decides to check with half the table. After Brittany's confident bet for a 1/3 of the pot, Fast Eddie can't hold it in himself and wants to live up true to his nickname and leave as fast as he came on the table and goes all in with a mid-pair with only 1% equity. Our villain, who is holding the top set of 4s, decides it is in his best interest to go all in and collect Eddie's money if he is so eager on donating them on this hand. To no one's surprise, Brittany, with her high 2-pair, decides to call Fast Eddie and our villain. Something she will live to regret very shortly. Let's hope we will see her smile again this video.
Okay, here. Raver, King Jack of spades, maybe? Raver has 4s.
I like Raver. I haven't seen it.
Everybody show me
Oh,
how to type this.
there's a 3. Oh my God, that's King Jack. You're good.
No, she has it.
2-pair. 2-pair? Hey, you're good.
My girl.
Oh,
my girl.
Oh, set of 4s. You're right.
After getting a bad beat, Brittany is now ready to try and take her revenge on our villain. And the pocket 9s that she is holding in the next hand will help her try to achieve exactly that. In this hand, Brittany is again the first to raise and asks $300 participation fee from her opponents.
Oh, you lose money.
$1,500 from Raver.
Our villain holding the worst hand ever and coincidentally the mascot of our channel in the face of 7-2 is 3-betting to $1,500, which at this point looks completely like mad play.
Brittany not done with this.
Now that our villain is deep in it, Brittany is getting ready to take her promised revenge. She calls with the pocket 9s and is praying for a good flop. The flop delivers 7 Queen 8 with 2 clubs. This flop is not too good for either of them, even though Brittany has the backdoor flush draw and our villain caught his pair of 7s. Our villain fires a bet of $1,200 trying to scare Brittany off her hand, but we all know she is here for revenge and is not backing down.
How much you have?
After the turn, villain makes one last attempt to get Brittany off her hand by sizing her up and betting her all in. Little does he know though, she is relentless and goes all in and is planning to beat him with 93% equity.
So kind of a 7-deuce debacle developing here. Oh, there's the 7 on the river.
What do you have?
And he still hasn't turned it over. $10,700.
I don't know.
And he's going to collect some bounties as well.
Brittany has been challenging Peter all night, and now that she is looking at an ace-jack offsuit in her hand, he fired a pre-flop raise with pocket eights. But let's see if she will challenge him this time.
And does Chris want to escalate this pre-flop war?
Ludacris takes some time to decide whether to pursue the Queen 5 of spades. But at last, he decides that he is on this poker table to test his luck and calls Peter's 4-bet. But as we all know, Brittany is a player who loves aggressive moves, so she calls and hopes the flop turns out nice. And Peter keeps betting like that.
Brittany calls as well, and it's a pretty good one for Brittany, a pretty good flop.
The flop comes Jack 4-6 with 2 hearts, which is decent for Brittany. She has the top pair, and even though she doesn't know it, there is only the backdoor flush draw or the off chance for another 8 to be worried about, which is very unlikely as you can see from the 12% of equity Peter has. Despite the low chance of him winning, Peter decides to project power and c-bet another $9,000, to which Ludacris snaply folds. And Brittany decides to show she is not to be messed with when it comes to poker.
Having 2 8s and the 8 of hearts probably should tilt him away from that.
Peter is visibly confused by how Brittany is playing. As I already mentioned, she has been bullying him and sometimes losing weird hands. So now he doesn't know whether it's one of those empty bluffs or if Brittany has something.
，Twice, okay.
没问题。
万一发错了 It's a big pot.
波动小一点。没有问。King。哦。
Brittany safe on the first run out.
完了。喊什么八啦？
Peter needs only an 8. There's only one left. He doesn't find it, and Brittany gets the full double, $118,000 pot.